You're watching For the Record. Once again, here is your host, Jim Needleman.
Welcome back. Democrats struggle to find an effective way to check the president. Iowa state lawmakers divided over medical cannabis with the governor, and Illinois concludes an ambitious legislative agenda delivering big victories for the new governor. All things we'll talk about this morning with former Scott County Democratic Party Chair Carl Romberg and Iowa Republican Party Chair Jeff Kaufman. Good to see you both again.
Great to be here. Good to be with you, Jim.
Let's start with Illinois. Governor J.B. Pritzker can take a victory lap after this legislative session, much like Kim Reynolds did a year ago, or actually the last couple of years as well. In Iowa, Democrats used their strong majorities in the legislature to adopt a $40 billion budget and $45 billion capital bill, moved forward on a constitutional amendment to adopt a progressive income tax rate, became the first legislature to legalize recreational marijuana, and gave the okay to betting on sports, among other things. Those are some highlights Democrats are proud of. Other flat taxes will go up, like doubling the gas tax for one to pay for those infrastructure projects. I guess how important was it for the governor to get these wins, and what impact could this have on the future for Illinois? Carl, we'll start with you. I know you're both Iowa guys in general, but
sure. And but you know, we look at Illinois has finally turned the corner from the previous administration, and is beginning to progressively move forward, and we're just delighted to see that. All of the new laws that are being passed that will help to stabilize Illinois financially and to move it into the 21st century.
I know Republicans see things differently, especially on the tax issue and the flat tax and the doubling the gas tax. They always make the claim that this is going to send more people out of Illinois. Is that your position, or is there other things overall? I mean, certainly the governor got a lot of what he wanted here, right?
Sure, and you know what the governor wants isn't necessarily what all of Illinois wants. I mean, it's Chicago led up there. We know that. I'm not sure that that legalizing recreational marijuana is necessarily something that would have bipartisan support throughout the entire state, but there was a reduction in the total debt. I mean, you got to give him kudos for that. We'll see. In general, when I look at Illinois and when I hear people talk to me about Illinois, my students, I hear one thing: Chicago has too much power.
Is that something you agree with there?
You know, power is apportioned on the basis of population, and Chicago's got the population, and they have the needs. They have the massive infrastructure that has to be taken care of, the airports that have to be looked after, and no, I don't think Chicago has too much power. I think power is equitably spread. I mean, you can make the same claim about New York with respect to New York City. You can make the same claim about California with respect to L.A. You know, large populations need large amounts of care.
Well, something we haven't had a chance to talk about on this program yet is Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds' veto of the bill that would have expanded the medical cannabis law in Iowa. This passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. Some Democrats are now calling for a special session to override that veto. Republicans so far aren't going along with that. I guess what political ramifications could there be from this, and why the reluctance from Republicans to fight the governor if they voted for this bill overwhelmingly? What do you say, Jeff?
And I've talked to the governor last week, and I also talked to the sponsor.
I know she talked about the THC level was her big beef, but
yeah, and the THC level, her claim is that there was some confusion in terms of what the actual medical board in Iowa wanted. This is not the end of this issue. This is the beginning of a discussion next year. There's a ton of middle ground here, ton of compromise when you're just looking at a number, and there's a number that she didn't like, there's a number that the medical board likes. They're gonna come together on this, and we're gonna have something that probably is gonna pass near unanimously with the governor's signature in the next General Assembly.
Do you think the next session?
I'm inclined to agree with what Jeff has just said, that the issue will be worked out. I do think it was a little cruel of the governor to veto the bill. She could have certainly sent it back to the legislature, and I don't know why the Republicans are opposing a special session. They could get it done this year, but if not, the issue is there are 2,800 Iowans who are currently enrolled in medical marijuana, and the limits on the amount of cannabinoid that is provided to them are extraordinarily small. They moved from a 3% limit on it to a 25-gram limit on it. You know, whether that was the right move or not, I'm not an expert enough to say, but I certainly think an outright veto, and opposing her own caucus seemed a little odd to me at the time that she did it.
Well, Kim Reynolds is an independent-minded person, so there are some issues that transcend party politics, and this was one of them. It shouldn't be a partisan issue.
It certainly wasn't in the legislature.
It was not. No,
yeah,
and the only alternative she had, if she didn't like that level, was to veto it, send it back to the legislature. They could actually put that bill on her desk in a month if they have this kind of bipartisan support. We haven't seen the last of this, and I think we're going to be talking about praising everyone that has involved, Republican, Democrat, and the governor next
We'll
session.
be watching for sure. Now, there is bipartisanship in Congress to stop President Trump on one issue. This has to do with the president's move to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries at the end of May. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo declared a national emergency to make it happen as a way to confront Iran. Now, it is the law that Congress gets to review all arms deals. Legislation is in the work to block this deal. This could be a test, though, if there's enough opposition to override a likely veto. Why should Americans, first of all, care if the president wants to make a deal like this, Carl?
Well, first of all, this is a trumped-up excuse for the president to make a very expensive deal with the Saudi princes. Secondly, it's just been disclosed today that Raytheon Corporation is talking about selling the guidance systems and developing the guidance systems for these rockets that Saudi Arabia is using in its 4-year-old war to kill civilians in the country of Yemen, to develop them and build them in Saudi Arabia, which opens the possibility that Saudi Arabia will capture the technology and then put it to its own use. There are laws against exporting this kind of technology to foreign countries. Trump seems to be ignoring those. Congress needs to step in and just put a stop to the deal right now.
Jeff?
Nothing political about Iran and its threat. Our previous president got us involved in a horrific treaty with Iran, devastating treaty for future generations. Thank goodness the president let us out of that. I don't know what the right answer is. I truly don't. And in some ways, I'm going to put my faith in Iowa, at least. I'm going to put my faith in Grassley and Ernst to do the right thing based on the classified information they're going to have. But what we're seeing is check and balances. What the founding fathers determined. The president has set up an idea. I'm glad he's confronting Iran. But
he ignored Congress to approve the arms deal to begin with. He did do that.
The president appears to feel that he is above the law.
Well,
I don't want to get into that issue specifically.
Yeah, no, and I don't believe this has anything to do with above the law. I think this has to do with the security of the United States and trying to confront a obvious threat in Iran, a threat that Obama just punted.
Selling arms to the argument that selling arms to Saudi Arabia I don't think is necessarily the same thing as the deal with Iran.
Exporting American technology to Saudi Arabia is not in the security interest of the United States, and that is exactly what the president and Jeff are proposing to do.
But to ignore Iran, which you and the press president seem to be willing to do, is also not in the best interest, and that'll cost lives.
Let's move on to one other topic here, because House Democrats keep making demands of former Trump administration officials to testify or hand over documents to one or more of the congressional oversight committees. A lot of them are rebuffing those demands at the order of the president. Attorney General William Barr seems to be one of them. Former Communications Director Hope Hicks is defying the president, though, and will hand over documents. Democrats threaten to hold those who ignore their subpoenas in contempt of Congress. That can bring in time, jail time, or a large fine. That often takes years to work its way through the courts. I guess, why is there such a thing as contempt of Congress if it really doesn't have much teeth? And how weak is today's Congress under the separation of powers here, Jeff?
Well, first of all, there's something else called executive privilege. And the president could have invoked that multiple times, but did not. There's some executive privilege issues that are involved here. Look, Jerry Nadler and the Democrats are ultimately abusing their situation to not accept the Mueller report. This is a sideshow. This is politics as usual. Nancy Pelosi, it's wonderful to see her twist in the wind. She doesn't know what the heck to do. This is going to work its way out, but ultimately, Jerry Nadler and the Democrats, and now the leftward social Ocasio-Cortez party of John Kennedy, is not going to be able to have its way and put together a circus of these ridiculous subpoenas when Mueller has already spoken.
It's a lot of names you put there. You put Ocasio-Cortez next to John Kennedy. That's pretty funny.
Jeff, how do you really feel about that? Well, that's the most ridiculous statement I've heard in quite some time, Jeff.
I'll wait for you.
First of all,
I got 30 seconds here.
30 seconds. No person is above the law. The Attorney General has to answer a subpoena from Congress. Congress has subpoena power. It is a co-equal branch of government, as it's been repeatedly pointed out. It's Article 1 of the Constitution. It is the first branch of government. The construct of executive privilege is a hoax. It is something that Richard Nixon made up in order to hide the Watergate tapes.
And Obama used
from the Congress.
Every president has used it.
Exactly.
I'll go along with that. But in my opinion, it is an absolute hoax. There is no such thing as executive privilege. The president is not a king. The president is not even a prince of Saudi Arabia, to refer to the previous comment. The president is a citizen like everyone else who serves the pleasure of the citizenry and is not above the law. And he he really needs to stop behaving as if he is.
All right, I got to stop it there, but I know we could go on for this one for a few more minutes, I'm sure. Jeff Coppin, Carl Romberg, thanks for keeping things interesting, guys. Appreciate it.
always do.
That brings us to our question of the week. What do you think about the outcome of the Illinois legislative session, like infrastructure spending, recreational marijuana, and sports wagering? Send your answer by email to fortherecord@whbf.com or respond to this post on Facebook at the Local 4 News WHBF TV page or on my page.